In Solo Leveling, as Jin Woo walks through the conference room, men gossip about how he almost killed Thomas Andre. Taking a seat, a man in a white cloak enters the room, introducing himself as Dr. Belzer. He addresses the attendees, acknowledging that while they are aware of the spike in the number of gates and powerful beasts, they may not know about the unusual activities in the skies. Dr. Belzer explains that the mana absorbed into the atmosphere is growing increasingly dense, referring to it as the Magosphere. He asks if they are aware that this Magosphere is currently gathering above the skies of several countries. He says that this phenomenon has appeared in a total of 9 places, and out of those places, it is most concentrated in Seoul, South Korea. Surprised, everyone shifts their gaze towards Jin Woo. However, Dr. Belzer points out that there is no need to stare at Jin Woo because if he is the one herding around the Magosphere, then he's already surpassed the realm of hunters. Jin reflects on the possibility that the 9 places where the Magosphere is concentrated could be related to the 9 monarchs. Dr. Belzer continues, stating that although there is no way to deal with this phenomenon, it is important to address the situation, adding that the world may once again be faced with great change. Brennan takes over, announcing that he has something urgent to discuss, and states that around 2 weeks ago, Hunter Christopher Reed was assassinated by a group of unidentified assailants. Panic ensues as everyone looks at Jin, assuming he's involved, but he remains stoic. Adding that the official obituary will be released tomorrow, David asks that everyone listen carefully, as there is a man they already suspect to be the perpetrator, throwing up photos of Suspect S. 2 men dismiss Jin as the culprit, but note that the man looks awfully similar to someone else sitting here. Feeling Jin's gaze, they avoid turning around, dismissing it as all Asians look the same anyways. Jin grits his teeth in anger, while recalling what Kamish said about the 4 humans who borrowed the ruler's strength. Unsure why the rulers sent a monster in the form of his father, he wonders if it had to do with what Kamish said. David reports that the creature found in a U.S. gate could speak human language. They requested S-rank hunter Hwang Dong-su's aid, but he took down the hunter in the middle of the interrogation and brought the Hunter Bureau's HQ down in flames. Stating that the culprit was powerful enough to defeat Hwang Dong-su, he concludes that strong similar humanoid monsters who escaped from the dungeon may have targeted Christopher Reed together. As the projector covers more panels of the incident, Jin realizes that his father's talking to him, warning him to not step foot in Korea, not for his son, but for him, or he won't be able to rest even after death. Jin summons greed, and he confirms it's as he suspected. The director announces plans to request aid from all global guilds to apprehend Suspect S and urges them to contact him immediately upon discovery. This conference continues. Attendee asks if there's proof that Suspect S is not human, to which David responds that his mana emission completely matches that of a monster. Another attendee asks if the described hunter is real, and David confirms. When asked why he hasn't revealed the hunter's identity, he replies that the hunter has a connection to someone present, so they withheld that information. Asking for any further questions, a hand raises, suggesting that it would be more helpful to reveal his identity in pursuit of his arrest. All eyes turn to China's 7-star hunter Liu Jigang as he asks about the monster's relation to Sung Jin Woo. Guessing he has no choice since Liu wants to know, David reveals that during questioning, the suspect claimed to be Sung Jin Woo's father. Thus, they will proceed with the investigation, assuming it's true. Liu then asks Jin what he would do if Suspect S turns out to be his father and hunters pursue him. Jin replies that if the suspect is a beast, he'll hunt him down himself, but if it's his father, he'll simply hunt down the hunters and protect his family, even if he makes an enemy of all the hunters around the world. As the conference ends, Adam walks out with Jin and asks if he was serious, to which he affirms. Nervously smiling, Adam says that there are probably only 2 hunters in the world who would dare say something like that. Asking who the other is, Adam replies he's in the hospital right now. Adam announces there will be a feast and invites Jin to the banquet if he's not too busy, however. As they speak, Liu Jigang approaches from the other side of the the room. Speaking in Chinese, Jin asks what he's saying, to which the agent replies that Liu caught a giant monster that Jin let slip away on the coast of China. Surprised by his ability to speak Chinese, Adam remarks that he is in charge of the Asian branch after all. Continuing to translate, Liu says that he was surprised to find the giant monster stronger than expected, and the battle over water made it even more difficult. Ever since, he's been curious to meet the hunter that could take down such strong monsters so easily. Reaching out for a handshake, Liu adds that he's happy Jin put Thomas in his place and that Adnray was undoubtedly wrong. As they shake hands, Liu says one more thing which throws Adam off. Walking away mischievously, Adam translates that he's hoping for that reason Suspect S isn't a member of Jin's family. As Liu Zhigong leaves the room, Adam translates that Liu had no intention of fighting Jin and bore no ill will. Just then, David Brennan approached, asking if he could have a moment with Jin. Agreeing, Jin takes a seat across from the upgrader, Norma Selner. Wondering what she wants, Jin admits that he hadn't expected to meet her again. Norma explained that she had been having recurring dreams in which top hunters were hunted down by someone, and in recent days those dreams have started to come true. Asking if she means Christopher too, David explains that they warned him, but he wouldn't listen. Norma continues, stating that powerful hunters would continue to die, and those hunting the hunters would not stop. Jin questions whether she had come to warn him of his fate as well. However, she denies this, instead revealing that she had come to ask Jin to protect the hunters, further explaining that she had been trying to remember the faces of those who had been hunted in her dreams, but none of them were clear. So she decided to try confirming their identities with her ability within the dreams. Recalling the time Norma had looked into his eyes, she confirms, saying that once she came into contact with it, she was forced to wake up from her sleep, still vividly remembering the voice she heard from it when they locked eyes. Jin asks what it said, and Norma, recalling the images of it, responds that the voice had told her to go back and prepare for war. Realizing that it's the battle between rulers of sovereigns that the King of Giants spoke of, he wonders which side the ones killing the hunters are on. Still confused, Jin inquires about what this has to do with him being asked to protect the hunters. Norma clarifies that she had seen a similar power within him. Speculating that she saw the power of the Shadow Monarch that day, Jin realizes that if she saw the same power in her dreams, it must be the sovereigns. David admits that these beings are beyond hunters, and that they need Jin's immense power to help. He said they hadn't been sure Jin could be the one to protect the hunters until they saw him fight Thomas Andre. David adds that they don't expect him to help without compensation and offer anything he wants, even the greatest treasure left behind by Dragon Kamish, telling Jin that there are hunters in this world who have received powerful blessings and have supported the world with their powers. David says that if they disappear, this world won't last. However, Jin apologizes. David asks if it's because he still has personal grudges against Thomas Andre, but Jin denies this, saying that he still doesn't know who he needs to be fighting against. Jin stands up, his mind made, and as he walks out, Adam reflects on what he had said. But just before leaving, Jin folds, calling Agent White and requesting the list of hunters they wanted him to protect. Last day of the International Guild Conference, Jin asks how Jin Ho is feeling, to which he responds good as new. As Jin Ho proudly cries knowing that Jin fought Thomas Andre the Goliath, a group of men talk about how he's on another level as he's right in front of them, yet they can't feel his presence at all. While they realize that Jin Ho must be the hunter Jin fought Thomas Andre to save, a man greets Jin Woo, introducing himself as the CEO of a global corporation specializing in dealing with monster remains, and offers to purchase all of the giant monsters he's hunted. Noting the good timing, Jin says that he's mainly in charge of the raids, and his vice chairman is in charge of all the business-related matters. Watching Jin Ho, Jin smiles inwardly, seeing that Jin Ho is really a proper vice chairman now. At this moment, Adam hands Jin a list, explaining that they've ranked the hunters by points they assign them based on their contributions and activity. The 10 hunters listed at the top are leading in points. He tells Jin that if he accepts their proposition, then he'd likely be asked to protect those people. Curious, Jin asked where he himself would rank. Adam replied, saying that taking in account the giant monsters he took down, he would rank somewhere around 3rd or 4th place. First is Thomas Andre, second is Liu Jigeng, third is Christopher Reed, and the fourth was Siddharth Bachchan. Calling it a drag, Jin decides to put a shadow soldier on each of them instead of memorizing all their names. He'll make contact with the rulers through these hunters. This way, he'll be able to tell who's friend and who's foe, and who he'll need to fight. Footsteps approach, and suddenly everyone gets serious. Thomas Andre calls Jin Woo's name and asks to ask one thing, explaining that because of the damage his arm took from magic power, the healer's healing magic is not working, and the doctor said the same thing, that even though it's slowly recovering, it's still far from complete recovery. Knowing that Jin could have single-handedly wiped out his entire guild after dealing with him, and acknowledging that amidst the chaos, not a single guild member has single-handedly wiped out his entire guild after dealing with him, and acknowledging that amidst the chaos, not a single guild member has died, excluding Huang Dongsu, the cause of the commotion. Thomas asks Jin why he let them live. Jin answered calmly, saying that Thomas hadn't committed a sin deserving death, turning his head and walking away. He mentions that he plans to have a great funeral for Mr. Huang. Even though he committed a sin deserving of death, Thomas asks Jin to let him have a funeral, raising his arm and adding that when it's healed, he would like to have a meal with Jin, and if he gives his manager his contact info, he'll contact Jin later. Bowing, the manager explains that Thomas just showed his gratitude towards him for not harming his guild members, and no matter how he looks, he's actually quite a shy person. Insisting Jin gives her his contact info, Laura says that Andre wants to give him a gift of gratitude. However, Jin declines, explaining that her master is very competitive and becomes uneasy when he feels he owes someone a favor. Laura says anything would do. Thinking a dagger would be useful, Laura appreciates his understanding and departs. As she leaves, Adam asks if they should meet and greet with the hunters on the list. However, Jin dismisses the idea and asks if there's a person missing, as he doesn't see rank 6 hunter. Surprised, Adam admits that they lost contact with him a couple of days before the conference. The secret agency and the Brazilian government both have yet to find his whereabouts. Questioning if he was already done in, Jin notes that leaves 7 people. Back in South Korea, Chairman Go calls it strange, as his heart refuses to stop shaking these days. His heart's been this way for a couple years now, but he could feel it getting worse. Questioning if this is his limit, he knows the doctor said he could lose his life within half a year if he keeps up the work. Since then, 2 years have passed, and he's where he's at currently. His office phone rings, to which he answers to a voice, making sure nothing happened today. Calling her a worrywart, he says he was just about to go back when he suddenly senses something. Looking out the window and questioning what this is, he wonders how this could have happened before looking over to see the Frost Monarch and this guild conference arc ends. The Frost Monarch appears in his office. GoGunhee wonders if he could have a proper conversation with him and acknowledges that he couldn't sense him when he arrived, so he's not someone he can take alone. Telling him that this place has already been isolated from the outside world, GoGunhee questions if he's dreaming right now, but suddenly getting shot in the shoulder, he looks over to see the ice expanding. Blue Grandpa points out that if this was a dream, he wouldn't be able to feel the ice, causing GoGunhee to conclude this isn't a dream. Asking once more who he is, the Monarch says he was hoping he would recognize him without having to say anything, but he is a mere human after all. The chairman questions this, as the Frost Monarch says he doesn't have an interest in playing with weaklings, and demands the fragment of luminosity to reveal himself. Guessing that he's worried about his medium breaking, Grandpa says it's bound to break at some point anyway. Charging an attack, he says if he's worried about something like that anyway, then a conversation is pointless. Firing the attack, GoGunhee covers up as it impacts, creating an icy explosion. The Monarch welcomes their meeting as eyes leer back from the smoke. He throws another attack that rockets towards the smoke wall, but as it closes in, GoGunhee backhands the attack, effortlessly redirecting it and causing it to break the window. The most brilliant fragment of luminosity applauds the Monarch for isolating his office and trapping it in a dimensional crack. Blue Grandpa says that he's been looking for a long time, and to think that luminosity was just struggling to use his true power in a broken medium. Revealing they've already found the locations of all 7 of his fragments and have broken 2 of them. The Monarch adds that he wanted to see the embarrassment on his prideful face before killing him, and now that he's seen it, he can destroy luminosity without regrets. Luminosity screams that he can try it if he can, but the Monarch finds it foolish he's trying to fight, since he's merely borrowing the body of a human versus himself, who has completely conquered one. The two show down, and the Frost Monarch crosses his arms before blasting ice towards Luminosity. However, pulling his head back, he headbutts right through it and charges at the Blue Grandpa, punching at him. The Monarch dodges before blasting ice out his chest. But eyeballing it like an absolute Chad, Luminosity slips the attack and returns with a left hook. Yet, putting his hand up, Grandpa freezes the fragment's arm. Channeling his energy, he shatters the ice while grabbing at the Monarch, and the two blitz around the room. Knowing he needs to finish this while he can still move, he prepares a devastating blow. The Monarch creates an ice shield, and Luminosity punches it, shotgunning the Monarch across the room. Taking a toll, Luminosity falls to one knee and questions if this is his limit. Seeing he's reached the limit of his medium, the Frost Monarch calls him pitiful before vanishing. Appearing before Luminosity, he pierces his ice straight through his medium's fucking chest, questioning how much time it will take him to find a new medium. The Monarch says that their forces have already gathered, and this world will be destroyed before his return. Stating that his mistake was trying to protect this world, he asks if Luminosity really thought he could win without his guards. Grinning and clenching the Monarch's arm, Luminosity questions if he really thought he fought against him for no reason. Just like they weren't able to predict they would follow in the fragment's footsteps, there's something important they missed as well. As the Monarch questions this, Luminosity charges his energy and slings an attack that the Monarch barely dodges, causing it to crash into the wall. As Blue Grandpa sweats that off, Luminosity weakens. Acknowledging the close call, the Frost Monarch hopes that wasn't the important thing he was talking about. Luminosity affirms this as the barrier cracks before shattering. Doubting anything would change even if this worked, Luminosity says, "Now," and a shadow ant dashes for the barrier. Escaping the office, the Monarch questions what a single soldier from the abyss would do. However, seeing an afterimage, Blue Grandpa realizes before dashing toward the exit. Flying out the window, the Frost Monarch prepares to cleave the ant, but as he closes in and his blade descends, a shockwave rips through the air, and the Monarch is suddenly halted mid-swing, as single-handedly Sung Jin Woo stopped the blade. Grabbing the Monarch, he questions who the hell he is, and this Monarch's war arc begins.